Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The slimiest of slimy SNP MPs, Angus MacNeil, the kisser of young girls while his wife gives birth, has decided that despite being thrown out of the SNP, he is going to stand at the next general election. He says he knows he's been expelled, but he says he might well get back into the party. Well, I would love him to stand. Now, I know that there are some strange people out there on the islands that will vote for him. And I do hope that some do. They, of course, will then pull some of the votes away from the SNP. And that will split that vote and hopefully allow Labour to pounce on in and take the seat. The rumour has it that they would have taken the seat anyway, but by a very small margin. But if he splits that vote, then it'd be a huge margin. So I think it's a very wise decision of him to stand. It'll get him out, and of course will weaken further the SNP. But we'll take a look at the article now, because he says that he's in line that he's going to return to the party. But he's basically only if the party changes to his requirements. So I wouldn't hold your breath. Here goes. So, former SNP MP Angus MacNeil, still an MP, just now an independent, says he will stand at the general election, and he hints at a future party return. I don't know if the party will want him. He is a bit of a slimy, oleaginous creep, isn't he? He's a slug of a human being. Mr MacNeil announced on Thursday night that he had been chucked out of the party. The party had had enough of him. He refused to bend the knee. Anyway, former SNP MP Angus MacNeil has said that he will stand at the general election and hinted at a return to the party just hours after he was expelled. MacNeil announced on Thursday night that he had been chucked out of the party after he resigned from the SNP group at Westminster over its independence strategy. And I'm not too sure that they're that bothered about him. He had said that he would rejoin the group in October if it changed tack. But the party moved to oust him. And this came after the week after he received a week-long suspension from the group for accusing Chief Whip Brendan O'Hara of bullying. And to be honest, I believe him. I think Brendan O'Hara is a brute in a suit and he is a bit of a bully. Anyway, the pair had clashed over O'Hara confronted MacNeil for missing key votes on the retained EU law and minimum service levels bills to go on a paid trip to Qatar because, again, bribery and corruption. Let's go across to Qatar, have a great time, and someone else is paying for it. MacNeil confirmed he will be a candidate at the general election and suggested he may return to the SNP. Well, if he does, it kind of lets you know exactly what kind of people the SNP are, if they will have a man of his calibre. Like I say, a man who was kissing very young girls while his wife was giving birth, a man who had a hit and run with a motorcyclist, and these are just not even the worst things of the man. He is an absolute disgrace. And yet somebody on the island keeps voting for him. What is wrong with them? What is absolutely wrong with them? Anyway, he said, I plan to stand. Hopefully at this late hour, the SNP will see sense and become a party of independence rather than the daily press releases moaning about the UK government like hopeless bystanders. He added, who knows what will happen with the SNP? Might be wisdom and a change after what will be a debacle in Rutherglen. The SNP is facing a by-election in Rutherglen and Hamilton West after former MP Margaret Ferrier was ousted for breaking COVID rules. Labour is currently favourite to win the seat. If Labour doesn't win that seat, I will eat my hat. It is so one-sided now. And of course that whole region has very, very recently gone amazingly anti-SNP because of all the different things and the shenanigans that are happening. And so the SNP are actually dying a death in that sort of area. You know, Lanarkshire, north, south. You've got the Hamilton West. And Rutherglen area and all that. That's kind of that little section of the country is becoming massively jaded towards the SNP. So of course I think Labour will be favourite to whiz that. Anyway, MacNeil had previously said he had no plans to stand for Alex Salmond's Alba Party, MacNeil was the joint second longest serving SNP MP, having first been elected to the Western Isles in 2005. He's been a vocal critic of the leadership, having a go at both Humza Yousaf and Nicola Sturgeon. He's always been his own man, to be fair, and he's always expressed himself, but often against what the party line was. And he is, and what's very weird, and I did say this when he got thrown out, he's actually probably the staunchest independent MP they have. And yet they threw him out because he said that the others weren't as independently minded as him. So it almost makes you wonder, what do they want? Do they want to be independent or not? I don't think they know. But no, I had expected him, to be honest, I had expected him to join Alba because he is exactly the sort. It would have been, how can I put this? It would have been an independence party. And it would have been a sort of two fingers up at Humza Yousaf if he'd have done it. It would have been an up yours. On the other hand, by not doing it, of course, he is leaving the door open for an SNP return. And maybe showing that if he's a good boy and he behaves himself, he's willing to come back in time for the election. So that when he does stand, he can stand as an SNP. But even so, I do hope Labour get that seat just to wipe the smug grin off that horrible face. Anyway, I shall round off and I shall come up and leave him to stew in his own oily juices. Now, in the piece just there, I described him as independently minded. And I don't mean like his mind is always on thoughts of independence, which it probably is. But what I meant was he doesn't toe necessarily the party line. He does look at the world from his own viewpoint. He sees the world in the way that he sees it and he responds to it. There's no for him. It's not. He's not got that sort of SNP hive mind that the rest of them seem to have, and I think that's possibly the only positive thing I can say about the man. I can't think of anything else that's positive about him. Now, I don't know him well enough, but when he's on the island, he must have personal charm. He must be able to schmooze a room, because how else would he convince the voters to keep putting the X in his box? It's startling. I mean, he is not someone I would ever vote for. I mean, even if he was the only choice and it was an SNP vote and I had to vote and it was SNP, I wouldn't vote for him. I'd vote whoever the first independent is. The thing is, they're not all bad. You actually have SNP MPs that they come across as decent human beings. And I'm going to say someone like Fergus Ewing, for example. You know, UK, he's got his belief in what he does, but you don't think of him as being in any way dodgy, you know? Whereas this one, you just look at him and you just think, don't trust him as far as I can spit a rat. Anyway, I shall stop there because otherwise I just end up me moaning about him all day. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see here on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and never ever vote for oily, alginous little shit picks like him. He is such a knob, isn't he? Horrible man. Bye.